Welcome, guys. Welcome to the Brand Identity Design Podcast. My name is Jason, and I'm your host. I'm a designer by profession. That's why the name of the show is Brand Identity Design. And today I have such a special guest on my show. A really inspiring individual. His name is Martin Rowinski, who you see next to me on LinkedIn, and and Martin today is actually going to talk to us about the power of persistence. As you know, persistence is like a key ingredient to success. It's also a talent multiplier, and without persistence, guys, it doesn't matter how talented you are, your full potential will never be achieved. So Martin is actually going to share a bit of his story from Poland all the way to California and building his business. The name of his company is called Boardsi, and we're gonna be having this conversation. So I'm gonna start off with this lovely quote, which I found by Albert Einstein, and the quote is, "In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity." Always remember, guys, in the middle of difficulty there is always lies an opportunity, and you have to be persistent to see it. So I want to welcome Martin to the stage, and I'm going to do an intro shortly, and while I do that, I want to actually play the sound effect to welcome Martin. Welcome, Martin, to the Brand Identity Design Show.
Thank you very much, Jason. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let me actually give you guys a heads up of who Martin is, really. So Martin Rowinski is actually a global technology pioneer, executive recruitment expert, and an international speaker with 25 years of C-level experience. He's also the founder and CEO of Boardsi, which is a SaaS-based executive recruitment firm. And Boardsi, his company, was voted one of the most valuable companies of 2022 by CIO Bulletin. Martin Rowinski also created and spearheaded their proprietary software that allows companies to effortlessly search for the most qualified board members and board of advisor from a pool of 1,000 top level executives across US as well as internationally. Now, this software also allows executives to find board positions in highly sought out companies in a simple and easy and streamlined way. And one of the really most cool thing I like about Boatsai is the fact that you still have the human centric approach, which we would be discussing, as we progress with the show. So Martin is also an author, guys. With this highly acclaimed book called as the Corporate Matchmaker. This has been featured on Forbes, Entrepreneur, FastCompany, NASDAQ, Bloomberg, CEO Today, and the Marquis Who 2022 and 2023, and recently, if I'm not mistaken, Martin, your company was also featured in Newswatch in many news channels as well. Am I right?
Yes, you're correct. And the most recent one was on Inc. magazine, in that magazine and online. We were voted as one of the power partners, helping other companies and being a partner to those companies by providing board members and advisors.
Awesome. I love this very much. Let's actually, get into our discussion real quick. So my first question to you, Martin, I really want our people to understand, my listeners to know who you are and where you come from. So what would your life be like if you have not moved from Poland all the way to Bay Area in California with your mother?
Thank you for that question. That is, I'm not sure if I'd be alive, to be honest with you. So, um, I grew up in Poland, in Warsaw, obviously the capital at that time. And during the time I grew up, it was a communist country, not as it is right now, which since I visited, it was a great country to be in. But when I grew up, it was not. There was a lot of rationing, food rationing, and it wasn't easy to live there. As a kid, for some reason, whatever it may be, I did not agree with communism from day one. I believed in having a choice and the freedom of a choice and freedom of speech, which even from childhood got me in trouble quite a bit. There was a time when I had to learn Russian, and I already was struggling with Polish actually, even though I was born obviously and speaking it, and I still speak it. Not an easy language. And teachers were forcing us to learn Russian. It wasn't a choice. It was what we were supposed to do. And I argued with the teacher, which sent me to a principal's office, which then got my mom in the office. And my mom really realized where I was going to be heading was probably joining the freedom movement, the Solidarność, and which at that time, a lot of those people that did disagree with the government and fought against it were being found dead in ditches. So my mom really did fear for me and my life and where it was heading. And that's when she started looking into how in the heck can I get my son out of this country and into America, where freedom of speech and the great American dream that everybody's after would be achievable for her son. So I did have my sister, who was 11 years older at that time, or still is 11 years older. She actually was living in Italy. So my mom decided to make a visit to Italy by herself, and then she came back. That was kind of a good faith trip. And then she asked the Polish government to allow her and her son do the same trip, basically, for me to visit my sister. But the ultimate plan was to not ever come back. It was basically a one-way ticket to Italy, and from there go to the U.S. Embassy and apply to be brought into America. So where I did already have an aunt living here in America. So basically joining my aunt in Alameda, California. So we made that trip. We were finally allowed to go. I couldn't, as a kid, I couldn't even share my excitement. And my mom did tell me what we were doing, did tell me we weren't coming back, but also told me you cannot tell anybody because you really can't trust anybody, because all it takes is one person to go to the government, tell them that we're not coming back, and we would have been not allowed to go. So I kept quiet. I didn't say goodbye. I just said bye to my friends. But in the back of my mind, I knew that the plan was not to come back. So we made the trip. We were in Italy for a total of about 8 months. We were actually told no from the U.S. Embassy the first time. And at that point, my mom, as much of a fighter as she was, figured that was it. That was her one attempt. And now we got to go back to Poland. So she told me, and at this point, I'm about 9.5, almost 10 years old. She told me that we got to go back to Poland. And my answer to her was, well, you can go back to Poland, but I'm going to stay here in Italy, which I was enjoying quite a lot. It was way better in Italy than in Poland at that time. And I told her I'm going to stay with my sister and figure out, as I grow up, hopefully become a Italian citizen. My mom said, that's not possible. I said, well, you can't force me to leave. So my sister motivated my mom to reapply to the U.S. Embassy, which she did. And we got accepted to join my aunt in Alameda. So that's how we made the journey. It took 8 months to do it, but we made our way into Alameda. So I really, my life, how would it be if I stayed in Poland? I would say it would either be me being found dead or me being part of a big movement and hopefully not getting killed, and being part of a movement that freed Poland from the communism chains. So one of those two things would have happened. I'm not much of a politician, so I'm not sure where I would be at, and hopefully I'd be an entrepreneur and still alive. But here I am in America.
I am really thankful that you gave us that backstory, because because it helps us understand, like, what really happens when you're young, when you're forced, to put yourself in such situations, what people do generally out of these things, right? So
Yep.
thank you so much for helping us understand that, how communism in Poland was not really helping you see like a bright future, not only for yourself but also your family, and you had to figure a way out to get out of there. And guys, if you would have actually seen some of my posts on LinkedIn, you may have wondered why I posted pictures of people standing in a queue, okay, just to get supplies. That's actually some of the
Yep.
history of Poland. That's, those are not fake images, those are real images from in the 1980s. People used to have we Okay, can you tell us a bit about the coupon thing, Martin,
Yeah.
and the queue? Because I have heard this story on some of the previous videos, interviews which you did. Okay, but let our audience also hear, what is that all about?
Yeah, absolutely. Very interesting looking back at it now as an adult. I mean, it really makes no sense. We were given these books. They were rationing books, so you can only get so much gas. It didn't matter how much money you had. You can only buy so much bread, so much meat. You were limited to a certain supply for your family. Um, my mom was crafty enough to trade her limitation coupons of basically gasoline was the one that we did not need. We didn't own a car ever in Poland. So obviously my mom was able to, the people that did travel more and needed to purchase more gas, she was able to trade those for other coupons, whether it was food or she was able to sell it for money. So that gave her a little bit of an advantage in us not needing gasoline. Um, but even with the rationing, there was a shortage, which is amazing. And I couldn't figure that part out as a kid. Like, if you're rationing every family in Poland, how is there a shortage of food? And shortage happened because Russia was taking our food and, taking it over to Russia to make sure that their people are fed first before they worried about us. So there was always a shortage, which meant you got to get in the store early and you got to get in the line early because they let you in according to the line. And there was times where my mom would send me to the store to get in line early before the store opened, and then she would join me before the store opened with the advantage of being closer in the line. And even with that, there was times we'd get in the store, and by the time we got in, the shelves were empty. And I kind of chuckled because during COVID, we uh, we experienced that with toilet paper. Not really that that big of a deal, but everybody was making such a big deal about it. And I was like, it's just toilet paper. Imagine if the food wasn't there. I mean, that was us. Like, not even thinking about candy or, the luxuries, the extra things we have in US, but I'm talking about survival bread, simple things that you're in need of, not extra. So yeah, that was kind of a funny experience for me and talking to my wife about it. But yeah, so what really, for me and my family, what really helped us, even though I grew up in Warsaw, I did have family that owned a lot of farming outside of Warsaw. So we were fortunate enough to once in a while get supplies, and including meat, because they did have a full farm, everything from corn to wheat to raising pigs and cows and everything. So when they did go through and sell the meat, obviously they kept certain things for themselves, and they were able to share with other family members, which we were those. So we were pretty fortunate, but not everybody was in Poland. So that that is how I was raised and how I grew up with shortage, which is why when I got into Italy, before I even got into US, when I saw, for example, a simple thing like a cart with fruit that I've never seen, bananas, pineapples, seen it on TV, never seen it in real life, I brought tears to my eyes. And I loved it. It was amazing that I can just literally ask my mom if she can buy it. And she said, yeah, absolutely. And there was no line, no nothing, just you just buy the fruit. It was an amazing experience for me, something that I think a lot of people take for granted. And for me, it was mind blowing.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. When you have limitations, that's when you really understand the value of something. So yeah, this is very very powerful, guys. So if you want to ever see just how the rationing coupon used to look, of people standing in queue, just check out the event page. I have posted some pictures if you want to use that as a reference, to understand what Martin is actually saying. Now let's actually get into uh, you know a little juicy side of our conversation, because I understand if you start explaining persistence scientifically, or just with subject matter which is out there, people may not be able to understand it. So I want to give people more context. So I'm going to ask you certain questions which help people to understand what is persistence and how to apply persistence. So back in 2008, okay, I remember about the stock market crash. Okay, and I realized that you were into mortgage and real estate during that point of time.
Yeah.
So how did you reinvent yourself after the stock market crash? Because a lot of business, especially real estate and mortgage, they were devastated, and people were not able to stand up, make a living, pay for things, look after their family. So what were some of your biggest learning, and what was persistence, what kind of persistence you had, which helped you to move outside real estate into technology?
Yeah, 2008 was a terrible year, um, for for everybody really. But if anybody was in the mortgage business and provided employment and all the employees, I mean, I felt terrible about that. But I think really my life is what really prepared me for the next step and that transformation, and the fact that I've been transforming myself since I got into US. I came to this country. I didn't speak a word of English. I spoke Polish and I spoke broken Italian that I had to learn over 8-month period. My mom didn't learn it, so I was the translator while we were through traveling through Italy and on our way to US. I then got put into a school where I spoke no English. Um, I joined an ESL program, English as a second language. It was a lot easier for Spanish speaking people because they had translators. They had ways to teach people English in ESL classes from transitioning from that. But I had zero assistance. There was no other Polish kids actually in my school. I was the only one. Um, there was no teachers that can help me with that. So it was an interesting way to learn English, but I did it. I did it through a lot of watching a lot of TV and being taken for walks by teacher assistant kids, basically, and they would talk to me in English and point out things like a tree, and they would say tree and make me repeat it. So it was kind of a funny way to learn it, but it worked. So I've been, transforming and adapting myself since childhood, um, all through high school, all through college, and then as an entrepreneur, taking on different roles, working for people, learning from them, entrepreneurship and leadership, and obviously through a lot of books as well. And we can get into that later. But the transformation was always there. So when 2008 hit, at that time, I was actually in the mortgage industry for quite a while, helping other companies, doing a lot of consulting, and finally running my own firm. And in 2008, when that happened, I probably kept my employees on too long. If I was very selfish, I probably would have shut down a little bit earlier, but I tried everything to make it work for everybody. But there was just no, brokers were just not really favored at that time. So it all came to a halt. Um, and it was a tough time. It was a tough time for me. And at that time, my fiance, we had a combined family with 4 kids, all between the both of us, 2 from each side. Um, and it was time to buckle down and try to figure out what is next and how am I gonna, what industry am I gonna go into next? It was, it's not like I'm going to go and work for a bank in the mortgage industry. Everything was questionable at that time, stock market crashing. So really got together with a few friends and threw out, probably 100 different ideas. And utilizing my technology background, just decided to really research search engine optimization and what it is and how can we help other businesses by building a search engine optimized platform where we can send business towards them. And actually, my now wife's business was our test market. See if we can actually do it. She was at that time a hairstylist, local a hairstylist, and we did a lot of marketing, a lot of SEO work, and she ended up being probably the busiest hairstylist, most popular hairstylist on Google, and had more business than she knew what to do with. So we proved ourselves there within just a couple months, and just kind of took that SEO idea into other businesses and other industries, and that's what we did. That's what we became, was a SEO directory for local businesses nationwide.
Wow, isn't that like a roller coaster ride? Because imagine most,
Huge.
yeah, imagine most entrepreneurs, you put your heart in, you dedicate your entire life to build something. Because growing up, even one company is such, a lot of work alone, right? Just forming one, having the infrastructure and everything. And imagine, things going normal and all of a sudden, due to some external factors, you're like, I'm so sorry, you can't do anything. You would have to look for some other options. Wow,
Yep.
that is such
Yep.
a hard stage in life, because you have to reinvent yourself, restart from zero, and you have to also have like a sane mind to be calm and composed. I really like the story of the search engine placement company, and I'm going to get into that. I have another question which I want to ask on that. Okay, but for the benefit of our listeners, I wanted to really understand from you about series. Okay, series pre-seed, seed funding, series A, B, C funding, how these things work overall. Because I have a question about your search engine placement right after that, because I remember you actually exited from that company after receiving funding along with your partner. Okay, but before you answer that, I want you to just give people an overview. What is seed funding? What is ABC? Why people need to know about these important things.
Absolutely, yeah. So any business, there's different ways you can start a business. You can have a business that is just you. You're the only person, the only entrepreneur, the only partner. You can build a larger company. You can, make a choice to hire employees, and you can do all this with your own funding, as we all call it, bootstrapping. And do it in slow stages. And the other options are exactly what you described. You can go and raise money. You can raise pre-seed money. You can then roll that into a next series, which they call Series A, Series B, and Series C. And really, the differences of all of those is the amount of money and when are you raising the money. So pre-seed usually happens when you're raising uh, something under $1 million. A lot of people will go to family and friends, show their business plans, show what they're doing, and try to raise that small capital. Could be as little as $10,000, could be as much as $1 million, but it's considered pre-seed. And then, then you get into more of a revenue growth. So once your company's up and running and you have some revenue, you're now building out more operations, you're hiring more employees, and you're looking for that, say, 10 million growth revenue or money that you need to raise. So it just keeps getting higher from there, from Series A to B to C. And once you get, into that larger scale, you have options of, are you being acquired at that point by somebody? Are you giving up such a percentage where you're basically a minimal owner? Or maybe you're going public. So those are the options, and that's the growth path of companies. And again, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to raise money. You can bootstrap it and become profitable, and maybe at some point just do an exit where you sell the company, or you become public. So those are the options, and yeah, I think that covers it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I love the way how you explained it, guys. So yeah, as Martin said, either you can bootstrap your business. Bootstrap means self-funding and doing everything by yourself. Maybe you will take a loan from the bank, but you are the one who is doing everything. Or you can go public and you can ask investors to invest money in it. So pre-seed, series A, series B, and series C's. And as Martin said, the only difference is the amount of investment you're seeking and what you're trying to aim, what is the objective behind it. So I appreciate you sharing it. So in your case, Martin, going to my next question. So you did Series A, which is revenue and growth, developing operational cost, increasing branding, marketing. That I'm assuming that was the objective. You were looking at an investment of around 10 million or less, I assume. So after finishing your Series A round, something happened and you decided to quit that business which you had created from scratch, the one which helped your wife to get, to be number one on Google search. Why did you walk away from it?
So we were young back then. Well, young and dumb, or I would say inexperienced when it comes to acquiring the money and what comes with it. So just like any business for me or any transformation, you're going to make mistakes and you're going to learn from them. You don't have to. Not everybody learns. I've been very good at learning and trying not to make the same mistake twice. So when we did raise the money, we it also came with partners, and ultimately, we didn't vet the partners enough. We did do some vetting, but I would overall have to say we didn't do enough vetting. And as time went on, we realized how the money came with a problem. And that problem was really pushing us out. We would not come to agreements on next stages of the company, which were to build it and sell it. And then realized on the other side, the investment group just got greedy and really wanted to push us out. And so we ended up selling the rest of our business, the rest of our shares at a very discounted rate, just to get out and move on and go do something else. It was not the stress that it brought to the personal side, the family. At that time, my wife was just not worth the next steps. And it was time for me and my partner to make a decision. Both of us agreed. It was bringing a lot of stress to him as well. And we decided to better go now and have our health. That's more important, and our family than anything else. So it was time to exit and to go on to the next venture.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Many people don't realize that actually being an entrepreneur is one of the most longest occupation, you can be a part of. There's actually no break. And you kind of work day in and day out. Even while you're sleeping, you're
Yep.
thinking how to grow your business and do things. And many people, have this perception, Martin, that they think that once you get funding, the investor just doesn't bother, and you can do whatever you want with the money. But that's not really the case, right? They are after you.
No. Yes.
so
Yes.
so finding the right partner is been one of your biggest learning, from at least from that exit. Finding
Correct.
the right investor, right partner. Just make sure that you have a nice team that helps you to have your sanity on, and helps you to think of creative ways how you can run and operate your business. I love that. I love this very, very much. I want to actually, highlight a quote by Thomas Edison. He said most of your life failures are people who don't realize that how close they were to success, before giving up. And that happens a lot with persistence, because you're very close, you don't realize what can happen, and suddenly you kind of give up and you go another route. So I want to understand from you how persistence help you to structure your life as an entrepreneur, and according to you, can persistence be learned?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Um, Persistence has it can, I don't think it can be learned unless you obviously fail. Um, you have to figure out what is persistence. You have to build character that doesn't give up, and you stay persistent. Um, so yes, I think over time you can learn it if you're willing to fail and keep going. Um, but as far as helping my life structure, I had so many things going on in my life, and uh, being an entrepreneur, like you said, you're working 24/7. You really are. Even you know, even though I can go out and enjoy vacations, I'm working on a vacation, which could be a pro and a con at the same time, because the pro is I can go on a vacation as long as I have a phone and an internet, I can do my work, but I'm still working. So it's a positive and a negative, but you have to learn how to be able to do that. And at the same time, you have to learn how to put work and personal life in boxes. And at the same time that I've been an entrepreneur, I grew up on playing soccer. So obviously, naturally, when my kids got old enough, starting from 5, I was coaching them soccer. At one point in my life, I was coaching 2 teams, my son's and my daughter's team, at the same time. So, and I'm running a company. So, going back and forth in all those things was chaotic, but was a great learning experience for me, and really being able to prioritize. And for me, family has always been top priority. But being able to focus on all things at the same time has been a very huge learning curve. And I think as long as you have your priorities correct, you can do all of those things at the same time. Um, yeah, I think that answers the question.
Yeah, it does, Martin. Thank you so much for answering that. So, as you correctly said, I love what you said. Like, persistence can't be learned without you failing. It can be learned. It's not that it can't. You can learn it, obviously. It is very motivating. But the hardest part is practicing it on a day-to-day basis, like every single day, practicing to be persistent at achieving your dream goal, whatever you want to do. That's the most hardest part, right? Because there's no guarantee that you would see results as you progress doing things. Sometimes you just
Yeah,
don't
and
see it. Go ahead.
since you were doing quotes, I'll give you one of my favorite quotes.
Oh,
This
nice.
one is this one is by James Allen, um, and it's from his book "As a Man Thinketh." Not sure if you've read it, but I highly recommend it to everybody I ever talk to. It's a very short book; you can literally read it in one day. My book, the original one that I've had, is actually falling apart because I've read it so many times. But the quote is: "A particular train of thought persisted in, be it good or bad, cannot fail to produce its results on the character and circumstances. And man cannot directly choose his circumstances, but he can choose his thoughts. And so indirectly, yet surely shape his circumstances." So just remember, you don't choose your circumstances, as I haven't throughout my life, but I've always chosen my thoughts to shape my circumstances.
That is so lovely, Martin. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I want to actually give people the opportunity to come on stage and be ready for Q&A. So Thomas and Rachel, you're welcome to raise your hand and I would be happy to bring you up. We would do Q&A shortly. And if you're on Clubhouse, Tiffany is already on stage on Clubhouse. Alma and Hector, if you are interested in joining the stage and ask Martin a question, feel free, you're welcome to come up. And as we progress ahead, I want to actually ask my next question, because I want to understand about this board of directors. Okay, so why is it so important, Martin, to have a good team of board of directors? Okay, I know that today's conversation is more directed to like a corporation size, larger companies who have different bifurcation like CFOs, CTOs, CBOs, CEOs, more of the C suite. So, how is Boardsi solving this problem with the help of technology and human interaction, and why a good team of board of directors is necessary? And I think it's now legally required to have a diverse team of board of directors, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. So obviously, publicly traded companies have to have a board of directors. And I think California might have been the first state to started enforcing diversity. And obviously, it's been shaping over everybody, or all the states have now, or maybe I haven't, to be honest with you, checked on it, but I know that if you want to go public, a lot of focus is on diversity. And obviously, you can imagine the definition of diversity is very different from everybody, but the government makes it pretty blunt. You need a female on the board. There's a race diversity, but there's so many other diversities that are needed to really have an effective board. Diversity across everything, and that can be age, race, um, female, male, and now we have different identifications as well. So there's also the diversity of where and how you grew up. Very, very important. You need that Harvard educated executive, but you also need that scrappy entrepreneur that was able to bootstrap a business and grow it to $100 million business, or maybe it's a unicorn that they sold for billions of dollars. So those types of individuals will bring different ideas and concepts. And what's great about having a effective, diverse board is having different ideas come from different angles, different upbringings, really creates energy and flow. Doesn't mean one person's right or one person's wrong, or their idea is not correct or the other one is correct, but a blend of all of that. As long as you have a board of directors that has the same mission, vision, and values as the company, and they all do have the same mission, vision, values, then you're at least heading the same direction. And you might take parts of each person's idea of what to do about this next issue, like during COVID, or, now we're in recession. Some people say we're heading for one. But what is it that's going to save a company from financial struggles, which then obviously pours down to the employees? How are you going to keep your employees on board? So there's so many decisions and factors needed that I think a diverse board, as long as it's got the same mission, vision, and values in play, will always come to the best solution to help the company succeed. And yes, as a publicly traded company, you have to have a board of directors. As a private company, you obviously naturally have a board of directors by the partners being on the board. You can go and find outside board members, or if you don't want to have official board members, you can go outside and bring a board of advisors. and there is quite a bit of a difference between an advisor and an official board member, and we can get into that if you'd like as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so as a board member, an official board member, um, you you have legal responsibility to the company. There is a directors and officers insurance, as they call it, DNO, that you will have to have, because if something happens, if decisions at that level are made and causes a lawsuit, you got to be protected as a member of the board. Versus an advisor is more of exactly what that sounds like. They are an advisor. They can bring ideas and concepts and tell the board or tell the CEO, hey, this is what you should do. This is how you should, uh, make the next decision, whether it's legal or whether it's operations. But they don't have any legal, meaning if the company gets in trouble for whatever happened, the advisor, the CEO can say, well, my advisor told me to do that. Well, that's exactly what he is, an advisor. He was advising you, but he wasn't telling you you have to do that. A board is really leading the CEO, and they're setting certain goals and certain expectations for them, and they have to hit those. So that is the biggest difference. An advisor can fire a CEO. A board can vote and fire a CEO and replace him.
Interesting. So an advisor is actually hired, not hired, but an advisor is a part of the team who is supposed to give ideas which will help the company scale and grow. That is the objective.
Yeah,
And the advisor
yeah,
is not. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say the great part about bringing on board of advisors is, advisors can have equity in the company. They can be paid monetary as well. You have a lot more flexibility in structuring how you're going to do that. But what's great about starting, if you're a private company starting off and bringing on advisors, is you have this pool of individuals you're working with. And if at some point you decide you're going to go public, you already have this pool of experience that you've been working with these different executives. And if you need to build a board, obviously you should look at your advisors that you've been working with for maybe a year or 2 or 3 years and pull from that first and bring them on as official board members. So it gives you that level of experience and a pool of people that you can pull once you are ready to move to the next stages. It could be, Series A, Series B, or it could be a merger, or it could be, hey, we're taking the company public. We need to bring and build a board. The other part about advisors that's really incredible that people should always think about is, if you think of like Shark Tank or any funding you're going to go do, one of the questions you're going to be asked is, who's on your board of directors or who's on your board of advisors? And if you're a one man, I own this company and I'm the only one, what's your answer? If your answer is, oh, it's me and this is my business idea and this is what I'm going to do, then if I'm to write a check as an investor to you, I'm putting all my faith in you, versus if you came to me and said, well, I have this and this and this person, and here's what they bring to the table. I'm going to feel a lot better about writing a check for that guy that actually went out and built a board of directors or board of advisors. And he's got not only just a business plan, but he's got a wealth of experience and expertise that's going to help him build a business.
I'm with you 100% on that, because logically, if the person has gone ahead and has procured advisors, that means he's really serious about what he's trying to do. And
Correct.
plus, if somebody else is believing in him, so that means the idea has the potential to scale.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really lovely, Martin. I appreciate you sharing this. So let's actually start with Q&A. We only have a few people. So let's start. Let's welcome Thomas, whom you met just a while back when we were doing sound
Yeah.
check. Hey, Thomas. And Rachel, if I see that you're down there. If you're new, please be comfortable to come up. We are not going to bite. Have, a Q&A, or ask Martin. Feel free to ask Martin or me any questions as you desire. And Alma, I can see that you are on Clubhouse. So if you're interested in coming up, I'm not sure if you're at work. Please raise your hand, and I would be happy to bring you up. So go ahead, Thomas. Do you have a question? Oh,
Yeah, sure.
go ahead.
So, hi, Martin. Thank you for all your information, and Jason for inviting me up. I just had one comment and then one question. The comment was I enjoyed your background information, in particular about the rationing in approximately 1980 in Poland. My mother was born in 1932, and when she was about 7, her school was evacuated into the country for the start of World War II. And when she came back, her parents had rationing and they had coupons, and she used to tell me about it a lot. And whenever as a kid, I used to not maybe eat my broccoli or my greens or whatever. She'd always say to me, Thomas. She'd call me Thomas when she didn't, she wanted to be stern with me. Thomas, in my day, we had rationing coupons, and my mother was brought up in a reasonably well-off household, but she experienced the rationing, and it didn't matter whether you had $1 or $10 million in 1939. Her parents couldn't get more, steak or fish or whatever. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Just with respect to persistence, I think when you mentioned that persistence is perhaps something that can't be, read about it on a disc or learned, I kind of agree. I mean, I'm 59, and I think I'm a very persistent person. A lot of people call me a dog with a bone. I don't give up very easily, and I think I practice persistence almost on a daily basis. E.g., when I ring up the airline, or I speak to a call center person, and they put me from one person to another, or I'm asking for a credit on an account with a bank, or there's so many just examples. But I think my biggest persistence example was like 13 years ago when I read a book about a person, and I wanted to meet that person. And that person I didn't think I'd ever meet, but I persisted, and I spent about 8 months researching that person, their likes, their dislikes, when they were going to travel to Australia and New Zealand. And I ended up, meeting that person and playing golf with him. And I kind of changed after that, because I thought, well, if I could do that just from an idea from reading a book and having a thought that you can do anything. And I think persistence is hard, and it doesn't matter whether it's you're a venture capitalist, or you're a unicorn, or you just want to play golf with Alice Cooper. I mean, it's either in you or it's not. But I think it's something that is hard, but it's really, really worthwhile when you've done it, because then you just want to do it again. Thank you.
Absolutely. I agree with that, Thomas. Thank you for sharing that.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Jason.
No problem. No problem. Thank you so much, Thomas, for that. Martin, I had like a few questions which I like to ask, since we don't have too many people on stage. So my question was that I know your mother has been such a big influence in your life. Okay, so could you tell me what were some of those things which you actually learned from her, which you still apply till today, in your life, and even as a parent, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing I learned actually from my mom was persistence. The only time I saw my mom not be persistent was when we were in Italy and we were told we can't go to US. Seemed like her dream got shattered, for her dream that was really focused on me. got shattered, and she was ready to go back to Poland. And that's when I think I woke up with my persistence and said, no, I'm not going back to Poland. We've been gone almost 8 months. I haven't been in school. I can't imagine going back to Poland at this point. And I know it's just a dumb little 9-year-old kid in her eyes, probably, but I basically reignited her fire, and she was like, okay, well, what do I do? And she talked to, obviously, her daughter, who was at that point in her 20s, or she was exactly 20, um, and living, my sister's been living on her own for quite some time. And my sister told her same thing, said, no, let's try again. So I think I really did see my mom be very persistent and very driven towards a goal, and then achieving it by bringing me here to US, as basically she did it all on her own. She didn't do it with my dad. My dad didn't want anything to do with it. They ended up getting a overseas divorce after we got to US. But my mom was very motivated and didn't care what it took to bring her son, me, into a land of opportunity where I can express myself and be myself, and go after the dreams that I had. That were, crazy, wild dreams of achievements, and being able to help other people and other companies. And she did that, and she has passed away a couple years ago, but her memory has never left me.
I appreciate you sharing that, Martin. For me, also, my mom is my role model. I wouldn't be alive if it was not for her, because I had a few other businesses prior, and I kind of lost everything in the process, even my confidence and self worth. If she would not have held my hand and asked me to climb, I wouldn't have made it. So I mean, I respect my mom a lot, and even all the other women I see. I interact on a day-to-day basis. That could be one of the reasons why I have a lot of women I interview on my podcast. but I want to welcome Rachel. Rachel, I see that you're new, so welcome to the Brand Identity Design Podcast. And please be aware that this conversation is being recorded and it will be uploaded as a part of the podcast. Do you have a question, or would you like to contribute to this conversation?
Hi, everyone. I don't have a question. I'm actually listening all the way from Trinidad and Tobago. Um, I came in when the conversation has already started, and the interest of persistence is just something that I hold dearly to me because as a young entrepreneur, that is exactly what you need to be in order
Hmm.
to have your business thriving. I would have come from losing my job back in May of 2020 at the beginning of the pandemic, and I had to actually gather myself together, use the skills that I have, and be persistent in a market that was already saturated already in Trinidad and Tobago. And from that, I tried to move on from being just an entrepreneur to actually wanting to now own my own cosmetic line, which I'm actually in the works of trying to do. But listening to everyone and their stories and what they came from, and how I can go about building my company, it is truly inspiring, which is the reason why I would have stuck around for the podcast, because there's a lot of things that you think as a young entrepreneur, but when you listen to persons that are already experienced and have been in the field and have been going through a lot of things, you learn, and I think with my persistence, it's going to improve on how I view things and how I move forward in trying to actually move from being a freelance makeup artist into owning my own company. So that's my contribution.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Rachel. I appreciate you joining stage just to share those a few words of wisdom and your experience there. So I know, and I appreciate you were listening to us all this time. And please continue listening, because I do have a rapid fire question round, which is gonna be fun, and I like people to be a part of that round, including you, Thomas. So, my next question to you, Martin, is that as entrepreneurs or as individuals, we all want to leave a legacy, right? We want to be remembered for something. What is that one thing you want to be remembered for?
It's funny. I really never thought about that till recently. But um, I always, when people used to ask me, not exact same question, but a question of like, what do you want to be known as, or something that similar. Um, I always, in the back of my mind, uh, always want to be the person that brings smiles to people. So when somebody's having a bad day, whether it was a joke or a hug or whatever it took, and this is going, back to when I was young to even right now, but I always enjoyed cheering and motivating people, and it's turned more into a motivation and bringing out leadership. And always was very positive with my kids. Before going to bed, I would always, tell them that they're the best, they're a leader, they're going to be awesome, they're going to have a great day tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be the best day ever. Just silly stuff. And I thought at some point, I thought, I was like, okay, I'm being kind of stupid, but whatever, I'll keep doing it. And it's funny because now my kids are adults. They're 25 and 27. And if I ever ask them that, hey, do you remember? And they're like, they'll laugh and go, yeah, I'm positive because of you and all the crazy things you used to say to me. So if I want to leave any kind of legacy, I guess I would like to be known as the guy that was cheerful and uplifting and helped. If I helped one person, which I actually have confirmation, I've helped more than one um, person, like majorly change their life. I'm good with that legacy, and if I do that, then great. If my book can help a business grow and make the right choices, then I'm even that much happier.
I love this a lot, Martin. From the time I have been asking these questions, now I want you to understand I've been doing this podcasting not for a long, long time, but I think I have done quite a few episodes. And this one, what we are doing right now, this is my 72nd episode. And I think I have spent about 6,300 minutes worth of
Wow.
time of podcasting alone, and that's just recorded ones. I'm not even counting the amount of work I have to do behind the scenes, post production,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So so from what you're sharing, whenever I have asked this question about a legacy, people always respond exactly the same way as you do. Now, I was under the impression that when you ask this question, I thought people would usually say that I want them to, know me for my knowledge, or I want people to know me for my wealth, or the $100 billion company I have created, or the board of advisors I have created. I'm just throwing stuff, it's just so that you get
Yeah.
some
Yeah. Yeah.
idea. But the thing is, when I ask this question, I never get that answer. When I ask this question, it's more humane. Like, it's more about I want people to be happy or be a contributor towards that happiness. I want to be a good person. I want. I. What do you think? Like, at a subconscious level, we kind of all want to be a good individual, but all those other things, I don't know, what happens. What do you think? What happens in our brain? Is it only when we ask questions that's the time when people become conscious, or is it not? I don't know.
Uh, no, that's a great question. Or maybe you just been interviewing awesome people. um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think if you ask that question to uh, a person like Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk, you'd probably get a different answer, I would imagine. For example, I I'm not saying they're not great people. They're incredible people, very driven. But at some point, like for me, for example, is wealth and acquiring it. How much is enough, and what else can you do in life? So for me, for example, I think, at some point, find other ways to give back to society. And, uh, I'm very driven to go and be on a speaking stage and share my story, and like I said, make people happy and change their environment and uplift them and tell them that they can all be successful and they can all do it as long as they're persistent and they stick with what they're doing. But I mean, I don't think everybody thinks that way. But you might have just been interviewing that type of people that are wired that way.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
think it's possible that like attracts like, okay, and it takes a good person to know who's another good person, right? Wavelength, energy, whatever. So I have been attracting people who think the same way as you correctly said, and that's why I'm getting the same answer. But it's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that I'm unhappy about it. I have naturally seen progressing to that, and it's a good thing. I like the fact that so many entrepreneurs are not selfish and self-centered. They really care about a few other things also.
Yeah,
So yeah, so I have a couple more questions, and we can do rapid fire then.
sure.
So, and I remember that you said James Allen, that was a good book. So, was there any other good
Yep.
books you like to recommend today? And guys, if you are on LinkedIn, actually, I have actually posted the link to Martin's book, The Corporate Matchmaker. So, if you are interested, feel free to get a copy. I've posted the link for US. If you are in other countries, just search it on Amazon. I think you should be able to find it.
Yeah. Other authors and books. So obviously James Allen is one of my favorites. But one of my uh, favorite authors actually is not I don't know if I want to say he's not well known, but I don't think he comes to top of the list for a lot of people. But his name is Og Mendino. It's OG
Yeah.
Mendino.
You're the first person who actually highlighted it. I've asked the same
Yeah.
question on my intake form. I've never got this individual's name yet. So I'm
Well,
really
there you
keen.
go.
I'm really keen. Okay, let's hear this out.
So I would say every book he's ever written is great, but to highlight, let's say, four of the books. The Greatest Miracle in the World is a great book. The Choice, great book. A Better Way to Live. And the fourth one, I would say, The Christ Commission. But like I said, every book he's ever written is great. They're also not very long, and they're very easy to read because the way his writing style is amazing. He just kind of captures you, and you just want to not put the book down.
Mm.
Um, One of his longer books, that is one that I revisit often, is called University of Success. I would say that's probably top of the list, but not a book you read one time and put down. Like the other ones are, you can read them and you're just like, okay, that was a great book. There's one in there. I won't tell you which one because I don't want to spoil it if you do read them. There is a tearjerker book that in the ones that I named. But University of Success is one you can go back to for sure.
And it's such an old book,
Um,
like Martin. It was written in the 1980s, and you're still
yeah,
saying that it's still
yes,
applicable till today. Like it's classic.
it's applicable to life forever, and most people out there, successful speakers or people that have written newer books, you're going to read this and go, oh, that's where they got that idea from. It's coming from older books. I mean, napoleon Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, that book's been rewritten without being said that it's been rewritten by so many people, that that's an old book too. So yes, Napoleon Hill would be definitely on the list. Think and Grow Rich, Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude. You Can Work Your Own Miracles. I mean, those are all great books by Napoleon Hill. And then, of course, Dale Carnegie. One of my favorites of his, and I'll just name one of his books, is How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's a really, really good book. I will mention one more. Public Speaking for Success by Dale Carnegie is also a great book.
Is this really true, Martin? Like entrepreneurs specifically, okay, and because they kind of wear a lot of hats, okay. So is that the reason why they end up reading a lot of books, because you need to have like a know-how of most of the things, and that's what is programming you to read a lot? Because I see entrepreneurs, they read a lot. Okay, and whoever I have actually interviewed, they are into reading, including yourself. I also read books. I'm still learning. I'm not like the book guy, who starts off and finishes things off in the same day. It may take me a couple of weeks, but I do it. What do you think?
I will tell you what I think for myself. I didn't grow. Obviously, I moved to this country when I was probably turning 10 right when I got here. I didn't grow up around people that I would say would be my mentors. So it took me a while, going through school, learning English, learning how to read in English. And finally, when I got to be old enough where I can be an entrepreneur, I struggled with having mentorship or finding mentorship. So one friend of mine said, "Hey, have you heard of Napoleon Hill? Have you heard of Agmendino?" Everybody I'm naming, everybody I talked to, or the authors that I talked about, and kind of turned me on to books. And I just found mentorship through those books. And for me, what I found that's, as an entrepreneur, why I love reading books, why they got me through tough times is, as an entrepreneur, you're going to fail. I mean, if you don't fail, then I don't think you're ever going to succeed. Even if you're going to start your entrepreneurship right off the bat and you somehow got that unicorn and you got lucky and you sold it and you became a millionaire, at some point in life, you're going to fail. Whether it's on the personal side or the business side, you're going to have failures in life. You're going to have struggles in life. I lost my stepson at him being 7 years old. That's a huge struggle. How do you overcome that and continue, living and continue having a great relationship with your wife and creating more positive for your remaining kids? And I think a lot of that can come from books. You can really find a lot of answers. I mean, the greatest book of all, the Bible, for me, seems to always have an answer. And a lot of these books have the right answers, the right chapters. Another great book, by the way, by Napoleon Hill, as I'm looking at my library right now, Law of Success, a great book, has a chapter on just about everything. So as an entrepreneur, if you're struggling with anything, if you look at books like that and go to the different chapters, read the chapter list, and you will find your answers there. And yes, they're not exact answers that are going to be the master plan of how to get through the struggles in your business. But if you read in between lines, they will guide you. That's, for me, that's what it's been. It's been a guidance and a mentor that's sitting there, always available whenever I need him.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love all your book suggestions, and I'm gonna reach out to you later so that we can make a list of all those books which you recommended, and probably I will have it uploaded as a part of the show so that people who were listening to this conversation, if they want to buy, they can just refer to that document. Okay.
Sounds good.
On that note, let's do Rapid fire questions. Was that loud enough, Martin, or do you want me to do that
that,
again?
that was pretty good. Got me fired up.
So, rapid fire questions only for people who are on stage, which includes Thomas, you, and Rachel, and Martin. So, a few questions to you, Martin, and one common question to everybody on stage. Okay. So,
Okay.
what is the coolest vacation you have ever taken recently? A place.
Recently, yeah. We went to mainly we went to the Open in Scotland, which was the 150th anniversary. But prior to making it to Scotland, we traveled through, or we went to London, and then which I've never been. So all these places I'm saying right now, I've never been. So London was really cool. We then made our way into Scotland, which I wasn't sure what to expect, not only just from being in Scotland, but we've done golf tournaments before. But it ended up that 1 week of being in Scotland ended up being just mind blowing because we had no expectations. And my friend that we connected with just took it over the top. I mean, we ended up meeting Sir Nick Faldo, having dinner with Sir Nick Faldo, having, exploring the Open and walking around the golf tournament with Sir Nick Faldo's son, playing golf in Scotland. It was just over the top. And I'm a huge golfer fanatic. I mean, I'm not really that good, but I love playing golf. So that was amazing. And then from there, we traveled through France, and then we finally made it our way back home. So that was, I would say, an awesome trip, and just unexpected of all the events that happened at it, and just very, very memorable.
That is super cool. I love Scotland. It's very historic, very peaceful, very calm. It's a really cool
Oh,
place to
awesome.
be. Okay, next
Great
question.
people.
Great people and great music also,
Yes.
and I love their food too. I've heard their food is amazing. I
It
hope
was
you
very good. Yes, I agree.
Okay, question number 2. Okay, what's the most craziest thing you have done in the name of love?
Oh my gosh. I cut off my ear one time, but I glue it back on. No, just kidding. Uh, that's a tough question. I don't know. Um, Craziest thing in the name of love. Definitely nothing that crazy, to be honest with you. I'm sure I did something when I was a teenager.
We can skip we
Some,
can skip that. That's
something stupid. Yeah. I wiped that out. It's gone. It's gone out of my memory. It was dumb, I'm sure.
Okay. Next question. If you have to choose to do something for a day, what would that be?
Is this like something that's impossible to do, or something that I can actually, like, if I had a choice today and I don't have to work and I could
Yeah.
just disappear for a day?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say I would love to leave my cell phone behind and go golfing with my wife.
Lovely, lovely. Golfing with your wife, leave your cell
Yeah,
phone behind. Okay, lovely.
just so nobody bugs me.
Okay.
Golf in Scotland. There you go. I'll make it even better.
Even better. Even better. Golfing in Scotland. Okay, so next question. How many pillows do you need to sleep? Or
One,
how many pillows do you sleep with?
just one,
Just one? Are you sure?
just one. 100%. Just one under my head, and that's all I need.
All right, all right.
Oh,
Next.
and I count myself lucky because I've slept worse before on the floor with no pillows. So
I appreciate you sharing that. Next question. And this is going to be a common for everyone. Okay. What is the best gift you have ever received? It could be from your family, friends, loved ones, whoever. What was it and what makes it so special? Now, this is a common question for everyone on stage. Go ahead.
I'm waiting for somebody to jump in.
We can start from you, Martin, and then I'll go around the space.
No, I'll let somebody else answer. I'm trying to think of a good
Okay,
one
okay.
here.
While you're thinking, let's actually go to Thomas. Thomas, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Um, Gee, that's a hard question. I had lovely answers to all those other questions, including the fact that I'm a golf addict. That I've been to Augusta in Georgia. I had, the fact that my wife doesn't play golf and Martin's does, so I'm very jealous of that. But look, probably I'll be a bit soppy, and I'll say. So, can you just repeat the question again?
All right. So the question is that what is one of the best gift you have ever received? Could be a loved one, could be a stranger, anyone. What was it,
Um,
and what makes it so special?
Look, I'll be soppy, and I'll say not. 23 years ago, the gift of meeting my wife, and the support and the love and the devotion and friendship and partnership and and that she's given me over the last 19 years of marriage. That's probably the ultimate gift because without my wife, I wouldn't be here in my current state.
I'm
I
really.
would have
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Martin.
no. I was going to say, I as I was thinking about it, I was going to give a sappy answer too because uh, gifts of things, you're happy with them, and then they're on the shelf somewhere, or you're not using them. But the reason I had an answer right away is I was torn because, and I would love to say my parents, but my mom was just really my anchor for me in my life. But I'm torn between my mom being there always for me and motivating me and really putting me in this position of living here in America, but being with my wife every from dating all the way to now, uh, living as most people probably know, being married, being with, period. An entrepreneur is not an easy task, and my wife has always uplifted me, always had my back uh, on bad entrepreneur days. She was there to cheer me up. On good entrepreneurs day, she was there to join me. Uh, so I'm torn between both of them. My mom was definitely there in the beginning, obviously as a child, but I would say in the last uh, 19 years, 16 married, 19 together. Um, my wife has definitely been an anchor in our life for our kids and definitely for me. And it's a gift that keeps on giving. And yes, Thomas, she took up golfing in March after she's been in a golf cart with me, watching me golf. And then she finally said, you know what, I'm going to give this a try. And she is hooked and addicted. As they say, golfing is one hell of a drug. And she's definitely loving it and loves going out and spending time with me golfing. And you got to get your wife into it for sure.
I Can I just say, Martin, my wife promised to, if I proposed marriage to her 21 years ago, and this is a true story. It only takes 30 seconds, but um, she started 3 lessons during our courtship, and as soon as we got married, 2 things happened. She gave up the lessons, and my handicap went north.
Oh, gotcha.
Anyway, such is life. She's brought some other beautiful things to my world, including the love of travel, and she works airlines and stuff like that. So it's not all about golf, but it kind of is for me. But I've learned to try to live a balanced life, Martin.
Awesome. Well, we got to go golfing then one day for sure.
Anytime you want to come to Melbourne, Australia, look it up, Metropolitan Golf Club. I'll
Okay.
shout you around.
Done.
Awesome, awesome. Let's hear from Rachel. Rachel, I'm not sure if you're available still. Would you like me to re-ask you the question, or did you get it?
I think I got the question. I
Awesome.
think the best gift that anyone could have given to me is their time. And I think that's because time is something that you can't get back. So when someone gives it to you, it's something valuable. So
I like it.
it's time and support, because as an entrepreneur, there are times when you're gonna be really down, and you can't pour from an empty cup. But when you have support, there are people that pour back into you. So when people give you their time and their support, I think that's the most valuable gift to me.
That's such a
I like
lovely
it.
answer. Yeah, Martin, Thomas and Rachel, you guys are amazing. And even your answer, Martin, that really touched my heart, because I resonate with what you guys are saying. So thank you so much for that share. So I want to give, Martin, you the opportunity to promote your business. So guys, if you want to reach out to Martin or take assistance of, some of the services which he offers, go to Boardsi, BOARD, S for Sierra, I for India.com. Am I right, Martin?
Correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
If you click on the three dots, you should be able to go to the event page and you should be able to see this link listed under the description as well, just making it easy for you to find details. So, Martin, can you tell us if there is any upcoming events, promotions, anything you like to promote on my show?
Sure. Let's see. I'm going to be in Houston this weekend, actually accepting another award for Boardsi. And
What?
then,
Congratulations!
thank you. And then some website called CEO Rankings.com. And then if you go / Martin Rowinski, um, I got nominated. I don't know how all this works, but uh, there's a couple different ways you can do voting, corporate emails or WhatsApp or text message for voting. But this is for 2022 CEO of the year. So if you want to shoot a vote my way, I'll take it. Other than that, that's it. Boardsi.com for more information. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. That is literally the best way to chat with me. I did send you a connection, Thomas, so we can stay in touch. And as Jason will say, it's definitely the easiest way to stay in touch with me.
That's lovely. So Martin, I would recommend you to just DM me the link to so that people can vote. I'll have it on the podcast description. Along, I would also post it on the event page, and when I'm posting the show, also I'll post that as well, so that you can have more votes. Okay, that's really good news, Martin. I'm so happy. What I have seen is that it's such a ripple effect. The moment you make it somewhere, it automatically ripples to more and more things, right? It just doesn't stop.
Absolutely.
I'm really happy to hear this, and let me ask you that: what is the future of Boardsi as you see, as we are progressing ahead? Like, I know you're into recruitment. Do you think you're going to continue to be in recruitment throughout, or if your business had to expand to some other direction, what would be the next level?
I would say board education would probably be something we'll be adding for our executives
Mm-hmm.
just to make them even better and stronger and more effective board members. But we really want to focus on board recruitment and really getting better and better at it, adding to our network of executives,
Uh-huh.
which happens on a daily basis. We interview them
I
daily. So,
do you
yeah,
guys also do like an audit thing, like a board audit, just to see if the diversity, qualifiers, if they are in place, intact? Is that something which you
we
also?
don't. Yeah, there's a lot of businesses that do. We're actually in talks with a business that does that, and we'll probably partner with them. But there's a lot of companies out there that do that. Not too many companies do what we do, so we want to stay in our niche and
Yeah,
really
yeah, makes
focus on
sense,
that.
makes sense, makes sense. That's completely understandable. I appreciate you sharing that, Matthew, and I appreciate you sharing the link. I'll be happy to post it on the
Awesome.
description. If you want today the audience to take away something from our conversation, what would that be?
Something on what? I'm sorry, I missed it.
What would be the takeaway to the listeners? One key takeaway.
I would say dream big. Don't ever give up. And like Rachel said, if you are feeling down, make sure you have people that are there and that have time to uplift you. There's definitely enough of naysayers out there to beat you down. So make sure you surround yourself with people that are positive and will uplift you, and keep on reading and learning. Don't ever stop.
Absolutely, absolutely, Martin. I'm with you 100%. I want to thank you for accepting, my request to be a guest on my show. It's an absolute honor, and I have learned so much by just researching about you. And while you are on this interview, I have learned so much also, Martin. So thank you so much from the bottom of my
Absolutely.
heart. Very, very good to know you. You're such a humble person. Whenever I have approached you guys, and I will strongly recommend that you reach out to Martin. Take advantage of the services. If you have a company and if you're concerned about your board, if you need the right people on your board, Martin is the go-to guy. He has technology as well as the human interaction to make it work for you, not just for board of directors but also for board of advisors. On that note, we would
Thank
be
you, Jason.
you're welcome. On that note, I would be wrapping this conversation. I want to let the people know that season 3, episode 10, which is next week's show, my show is broadcasted live on LinkedIn and Clubhouse every Wednesday at 12 Eastern Standard Time. And next week's show, which is November 16th at 12 Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to be discussing the value of expertise, which is Ziza Natur. She's from Romania, and she's actually into theater, music, public speaking, and she's going to speak about how expertise can fast track your status as an entrepreneur, help you become, a go-to person in your industry, and also increase your earning potential. So if you're interested, just click my bio. You should be able to find the event link. I should have all those things under my page. So on that note, thank you so much, guys. You take care of yourself. You have a blessed morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. And thank you so much, Martin, okay, for being here with
Thank
me.
you. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.